Now, I could be wrong, and there could be a few people, a tiny percentage of people. Do I think that this is an elitist thing that everybody in the world that's got more than a certain amount of money does it? Absolutely not. I do not believe that at all. The reason I don't believe that is because this is not what these people are into. Okay, they're into some weird shit, but usually it has to do with sexual stuff. It's like sexual weird stuff. It's not murder and sacrifice and shit like that. That's and here's the reason. Most of these people actually consider themselves to be good people. Yeah, they're terrible people, but they don't think of themselves as terrible people. You can't sacrifice children in a volcano or something and then go home and go, oh, yeah, I'm average Catholic. No, you're not. However, you can run an insurance company and tell people to tweak the algorithm slightly, see if we can't squeeze an extra 4 or 5% profit out, for the board and for the stockholders, because, really, like our loyalty is to them. Those are our people. Yeah, you can do that. Now, what does 4 or 5% mean? Does that mean that there are going to be, a dozen more elderly people who die 10 years earlier than they should because of a preventable illness? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Fuck them. They're poor anyway. So, what about low income people? Whatever. Who cares about them? They're cannon fodder. If they didn't die at 60 from colon cancer, they probably should have died in Vietnam. They probably should have gone and served their country or whatever. The bottom line is that's justifiable through just pure arrogance. The idea that I'm going to become a billionaire by throwing a baby into a fire, that's just, come on. Like, okay, you're entertaining your wildest fantasies about what evil looks like. Great. Don't get it twisted. This is fantasy land. So why is it so prevalent? Why are so many people talking about Satanism? Because it's a distraction. Okay, well, what are they distracting from? Everything else, everything that matters. Okay, Epstein. Well, what do you mean we're distracting from Epstein? Who's talking about Epstein? Nobody. Why? We're talking about Iran. Oh, shit, that's right, Iran. Well, is Iran a distraction? Well, it seems to be, because while we're distracted with Iran, Israel is taking over Lebanon. What? Wait, no, wait. Lebanon's not even in this war. It's a war with Iran. No, it's a war with Lebanon. And they've taken over a huge chunk of southern Lebanon. And they want to take over more of Lebanon. Lebanon, by the way, is a predominantly Muslim Christian nation with a Christian president and a Christian secretary of defense, and a lot of Christians and a lot of churches and a lot of Christian people being displaced by the IDF. A lot of Christians being pushed out and killed, murdered, innocent civilians. Nobody's noticing. So yes, Iran is a distraction. Are we going to invade Kharg Island? I mean, come on. Personally, as a former Marine myself, knowing what it takes to have an amphibious assault like that, I don't think there's anybody stupid enough on planet Earth to actually do that. On the other hand, when I hear the president say things like, we're already winning, we've already won, we've already gotten victory, we've accomplished everything that we wanted to accomplish, but we may just keep on bombing them for fun. I never thought in my entire life that I would ever hear the president of the United States make a joke about dropping bombs largely on civilian targets now, 13,000 of them. I never thought I'd hear a president make a joke about dropping bombs on a sovereign nation for fun. Those are his exact words. For fun. I like seriously. You have to understand when it comes to smoking a bad guy, it's not an issue. I don't have the same issues that some guys would have with the idea of, oh, everybody's, life is precious, blah blah. No, I don't think that way. There are enormously bad human beings out there who cannot cannot be controlled any other way. They literally have to be dispatched. Like, look, you're a reject, you're defective. I'm gonna send you back to the factory, okay? And then God can do whatever He wants with you. Maybe He sends you back as a worm. Maybe it was just a mistake, and He apologizes and sends you right back as a rich guy. I don't know, but my point is that joking about killing people who aren't in the fight, it makes no sense to me at all. It makes no sense to me at all because that's murder. And murder is different than war. War is where guys like me, who are all Marines or Army or what have you, or call them rebel forces, whatever, they fight each other on purpose. They're all combatants. So the idea that we would just drop bombs for fun, there's nothing fun about it. There's no situation where you can say you took it out of context. There is no context where dropping bombs is fun. First of all, I have to pay for those bombs. You have to pay for those bombs. Those bombs aren't free. It costs, and this is because of a buddy of mine who told me this. He was an F-18 pilot, and he said, burning $3,500 a minute in fuel whilst watching tracer rounds go by is the ultimate rush. And you'll never be satisfied having sex again after doing that, after going Mach and having people firing at you and destroying tanks and doing all these things. He said it's just incredible. Trump is doing the right thing. Who's dumb enough to say that on my live feed? Dee Dee. Oh, well, you know what, Dee Dee? I can tell by the nickname. You're totally off the hook because you're a boomer. You're very, very old, and you're set in your ways, and you believe that anything Walter Cronkite said was absolute, probably in the Bible. And I get it. You know what? I'm letting all boomers off the hook because it's not like you people lived through Vietnam, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, Afghanistan, El Salvador, all of which, by the way, were absolutely necessary wars. Absolutely necessary. Right? Right? Sorry, Dee Dee. I wouldn't tell people your opinion about Trump right now because most people who are educated, who are over 18, have seen this movie before. We were told that we were just going to go into Iraq, and let me tell you just how good my memory is. I remember watching Dick Cheney sitting in front of somebody and telling them, "Look, is it going to be 6 days, 6 weeks? Probably not. 6 months, maybe. Yeah, it might be 6 months, but we're going to go in there." We're going to be looked at as liberators, and then we'll be done. And by the way, none of this will cost us any money. Do you remember that? Do you remember that the Iraq War was not going to cost the American taxpayer any money? Do you fucking remember that? The Iraq War was not going to cost the American people a fucking dollar because we were going to go get the oil and we were going to pay for the war, for liberating all the people from Saddam, liberating the people of Iraq from tyranny. Does this sound familiar at all? No, I'm yelling at you, Dreams, to wake the fuck up and do something about it. Have you called your senator yet? No, you haven't. Have you called your congressman? No, you haven't. Have you at least stuck your fucking head out the window and yelled, I'm sick of this shit? No, you haven't. You might have thought it, but you haven't done it. So you deserve this. I don't deserve this. Yes, it was all under the Democrats. God, you know what? That's right. I forgot that Richard Nixon was a Democrat. I also forgot that Reagan was a Democrat. Wait, Reagan was a Democrat? Yeah, I guess he was. Oh, and wait, that's right. The first Iraq War was under a Democrat too. Wait, no, the first Iraq War was under Bush, but the second Iraq War was under a Democrat. Wait, that was George Bush Jr. Dee Dee, honey, darling, stay out of politics. I'll bet you're a good cook, though, huh? Wait, what's this say? No, he wasn't. You need to get educated. Oh, I'm sorry, Dee Dee. God, are you that old? I was joking. I was being facetious. Sarcasm. Sarcasm. I'm Generation X. See, we don't like boomers. But our love language is sarcasm because we were raised on hose water and loneliness. I mean, I did have two perfect parents. I had let's see, Flipper and Lassie and Ultraman. That's who raised me because both of my parents worked because somebody fed them some bullshit about the fact that if you're a woman and you're at home raising your kids, well, you're just a turd. You need to go get a job as a waitress or something. And so that's what everybody did. Everybody bought the bullshit. They didn't think, well, wait a minute. This has been working for 10,000 years. Why would we change it now? Oh, because men are oppressors. Oh, that's right. Men are oppressors. It's so much easier to just go out and get a full-time job and then just let your kids raise themselves on TV. Rin Tin Tin's some good shit right there. I think Rin Tin Tin might have been a little before my time, though. That was early 60s. I wasn't even alive yet. But by the time Lassie rolled around, I was probably watching reruns for all I know. Pretty sure Flipper was live, and I didn't know it at the time, but Gilligan's Island were reruns. I didn't know that, but I wasn't there to watch it. I'm X to sarcasm, you know. They say it's the lowest form of wit, but hey, it's something. Do you have siblings? No. No, Dee Dee. Dee Dee, what? You're younger than me? Oh. Well, I love you. That's all I can tell you. Stay out of politics still, though. Will silver go back up soon? Yes. Will it go back up super fast? I don't know. But I will say this. It's not about that. It's not about that. Yeah, sometimes it's hard to believe. What it's about now, and this is one of the things I was going to get to with all these distractions, all this stuff going on in the world, it's all very distracting. That housing bill, it's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's a housing bill working its way through Congress and Senate right now. Yeah, and it's about making housing more affordable. But no, I don't think it'll go down to 50. No way. No, it's done going down. It'll sort of languish here for maybe a couple of weeks before it starts to go back up again. But it's bottomed out. And if you look at a chart, if you take out that enormous hiccup in the middle, the chart is just about right. And this is where it should be. And it should keep going up. It's been going up for about 100 years now, nonstop. Remember that this was $1, and now it's $70. It's $1, and now it's $70. So, this was a dime. Now it's $7. It's like, wait, what? This little teeny tiny thing is $7? Yeah. That little tiny thing's $7 because it's actually real money. But the war doesn't even have to be over. What's going to happen next is, and there's only two ways this goes. This either collapses the world's economy, and I pray to God that Trump's not that stupid. And when I say stupid, I don't think that Trump personally, as a single human being, given an IQ test, which of course he would flatly refuse, but if he were given an IQ test, I think he'd hold his own. I don't think that he would be found lacking in any way, common sense, etc., the ability to reason. However, people like that are extremely easy to manipulate because their egos are so big and they want so badly to be right that somebody like Netanyahu, who is a master manipulator, comes along, and Trump wants to be loved and adored and worshipped. Bibi Netanyahu absolutely has to stay out of prison. So you got one guy that's fighting for his brand and one guy that's fighting for his very life. Because Netanyahu will go to jail the moment all of these wars end. As soon as the peace happened with Gaza, as soon as there was just a little tiny bit of a break in the Gaza thing, man, right back to court he went. The courts were like, okay, war's over, get in here. Now, is he guilty of bribery? Is he guilty of corruption? Is he guilty of things that have sent lots of people in Israel to prison? Because whatever you say about the Israelis, the one thing that seems to be true about them is when it comes to corruption, they don't fuck around. Like, they will go after anybody in their government who takes bribes, etc. So when Bibi says, I like those cigars, that means get me a case of those cigars. I want a box of those. Well, $1,100, that's enough to go to jail. Just that one piece of evidence right there. Has that ever happened? Clearly, that was something that was testified to by someone who did that for him. When his wife, who everyone agrees is much, 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 much worse than he is. When you take them out to dinner and you always pay, and the Adelsons said, we always paid, and of course the Adelsons are billionaires, multi-billionaires. When they go out, and this is something that they said about the Netanyahus, when his wife says, oh, the champagne is fantastic, the reason that she's making that comment is she absolutely expects to have a case of that champagne delivered to their residence within a couple days. That's why she made the comment. And you will do it, because if you don't, she's going to remember that you ignored her. And that will hurt her feelings. And you don't want to hurt her feelings. You don't want to hurt that woman's feelings. This is who's in charge of Israel. Now, are all Jews like that? No. Look at the Bernie Sanders of the world. I mean, my God. The guy was actually really not very well off until he wrote a book. Now, look, can I fault him for making money on writing a book? I'm writing a book. No, No, of course I can't. Look, if you have ideas that you want to share with people and you think that they're worth somebody paying to read them, if you think they're that entertaining, then write a book. And if people like your book, then you'll make money. Did he take that money in the form of bribes? Did I'll give you an example. Halliburton. Did Halliburton go in and buy up all of the copies of his book for the first release? That's how it became a bestseller? No. Do I fault Bernie Sanders for making $5 million because he's super popular among the woke liberals? Because and people who are socialists love this guy? No. Do I even fault him for being a socialist? No. And the reason is, at least what comes out of his mouth is truth. Now, that's a Jew. He's a good guy and he tells the truth. And you may not agree with his politics, but you got to love the guy for being honest. Okay. Steven Spielberg. Jewish, bad guy? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And that's only because I grew up in Hollywood, so I got to see a little bit of what went on behind the scenes, like with his divorce and whatnot with Amy Irving. Guy legit doesn't give two shits about money. He does not care about money at all. That doesn't sound very Jewish, but that's only if you assume that all Jews care about money. They don't. He cares about his craft, they call it in Hollywood. Anyway, his art form is making movies. That's all he gives a damn about. Well, of course, these are all my opinions. They're not your opinions. I don't know your opinions, nor do I care. But that's my point. It's that my opinions are that, number one, Benjamin Netanyahu, he's not a Steven Spielberg. He's definitely not a Steven Spielberg. He is a very, very, very corrupt, bad man, in my opinion. It's just my opinion, not misinformation. Why would they glitch me? Why would they glitch me? Well, because I'm not at the level where you put a bullet through my ear as a warning or one in my throat as a final goodbye. Hopefully I won't get to that point. Can Trump get out of the war and leave the strait closed? No. No, the Iranians have had enough. They've had enough of our bullshit. We said, why don't you write about? I am. It's almost finished. As a matter of fact, technically it's finished, and you should be able to buy it as of tomorrow. Now, by the way, I'm going to do something a little different than most people do. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because the Hodge twins, these two big black dudes, they're brothers. Well, obviously twins. Cool, love these guys. Wow, you are siding with the Iranians. What? Oh my God, Didi, you are such an idiot. Yeah. After being in the Marine Corps, I can't think of anything I'd rather see than a bunch of my Marines getting blown up on Karg Island. Oh, God. My book is about how to survive if we do something illegal and stupid, like shut down their desal plants and shut off all their civilian power structure. Because, number one, that's a war crime. Straight up, that's a war crime. If we go in and we shut down their civilian electricity, that is a war crime. Period. Trump just announced that's exactly what he plans on doing. Don't ask me why you would put in writing that you're about to commit a war crime, because attacking the civilian infrastructure of a country is illegal. Like, these people will die without desalinization plants. Now, I'm not talking about the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. I'm talking about just average civilians. Cuba is Cuba's disgusting. What's going on in Cuba is absolutely disgusting. The fact that there are people dying because we want regime change again. We're the richest country in the world. We could go in there and bribe every single fucking person on the island. We could literally give everybody on the island money to vote to become part of the United States. But instead, we're doing what we always do. We're saying, look, do it our way. And they're saying, well, I mean, we're a sovereign country. We're trying to do it your way, but we want to retain our, we want to be Cuba. But yeah, free enterprise, starting your own companies. Yeah. We're doing that. It's like, but you're not doing it the way we want you to. So we're going to let you die. What? Yeah, there's a blockade. It's like, wait, a blockade? Why are we blockading Cuba? Because we want them to suffer. We want them to suffer. Who the fuck is them? Cubans. You mean a 10-year-old Cuban girl? Yeah, fuck her. Oh, well, that's pretty sad. No, it's not. She shouldn't have been born in Cuba. Talk to God about that. God makes these decisions. God put those Cubans on that island because he hates them. And so we hate them too. Like, what? I don't get it. It's nuts. Like when their grid goes down, it takes time for their generators to kick on. If the generators even have any fuel. Well, if the generators are at a hospital and you're on a respirator, when 6 minutes later comes along, you're dead. 6 minutes without oxygen, you're brain dead. What if you're an infant? Rubio's not Cuban. Rubio isn't even human. That thing is an animal of some unknown description that literally lives to do whatever it's told by its masters. Now, you want to be its master? Fine. Throw a few 100,000 at it. That's the way these things work. They're not humans. You think Lindsey Graham is a human being? The way he talks about killing Russians? Has Lindsey Graham ever been to Russia? Has he ever spent time in Russia with Russians? I don't know. I don't know if he has. It seems like he hasn't. He makes jokes about killing Russians and laughs about it. Yeah, but that's the thing. If that's true, let's just say that that's right. Let's say that Trump wants to have a development, and it wouldn't be Trump because he's old. He's going to die soon. He's old. But it would be Kushner, okay? Let's say that Jared Kushner wants to build hotels on the beach in Havana, just like the old days. I get that. Okay, cool. Well, what are you willing to do? Well, I'm willing to, grease a few palms. Okay, that's cool. What else? I'm willing to kill civilians. What? Yeah, I'm willing to shut off all of the infrastructure. I'm willing to make sure that there are blackouts. I'm willing to make sure that there are people who starve to death. I'm willing to make sure that infants that are on respirators die. I'm willing to make sure that hospitals fail. I'm willing to make sure that people have to drink water that you wouldn't put in your toilet tank. I'm willing to do those things in order to get what I want. What? What the hell, man? Like, really? This is like, why would you do this to people? Why would you do this to people? Why would you make an entire country suffer like this? Well, because I can't wrap my head around it because I've lived all around the world, and I just know that, the people of Cuba, are they really all that awful? No. Are any of them that awful? Well, I mean, there's a couple. There's a couple that are probably pretty bad. Oh, okay. But what, like, overall, are enough of the people in Cuba horrible, oppressive, nasty, ugly people that we should let hundreds or even thousands of them die? I can't, like, how do you do that? You know, how do you justify that many people dying? Well, you can't say it's ego because it's got to be more than that. I got a big ego. I have a huge ego. I wouldn't murder people to get what I want. And part of the reason is because I've got such a huge fucking ego. I made a deal with myself a long time ago. If I'm half as smart as I think I am, then I can get very wealthy and I can do it by helping people. Instead of fucking people over to make money, if I'm really that smart, I've got to be able to find an angle. I got to be able to find a way that I can help people and make a shitload of money. Now, is that because I'm a great person? I'm just a person. Do I have a bit of a hero complex? Yeah, I do actually. And that's what saves me from being one of these assholes, apparently, is that I want to be a hero, but I also want to make money. Well, why can't you do both? Oh, shit, you can do both. You can make money by saving people. You can make a lot of money by saving people. Wait a minute. Why couldn't you make $1 billion by saving people? I don't know. I'm going to try. I've made millions by helping people. Now I want to make tens of millions by helping people. You know, that's literally it. That's the next goal. It's like, all right, millions, check. Many, many millions. Yeah, okay, let's do that next. You know, how many yachts can they ski behind? It's not even about that. I just want to make sure, absolutely sure, that if this country takes one more step towards totalitarianism, I'm standing by the exit because I'm not going to be one of these people who's going around and around and around the last chair. And when the music stops, everybody goes, oh shit. And it turns into a melee. I'll be over by the exit, thank you. Because the reality is, my mom wasn't even born in this country. Okay? My mom was born in a concentration camp. So, hey, do I love the United States? I joined the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to fight for this country. Do I love it enough to have my 13-year-old son go to war in Iran? Fuck no. Not a fucking chance in hell. Not a chance in hell am I going to let my son go to war for Bibi Netanyahu so he can stay out of jail. Nope. Sorry, Bibi. Love you, baby, but not that much. No, As a matter of fact, I think it's time for a divorce. The United States and Israel, time for a divorce. Yeah. Look, I get it. You guys hate the Iranians. Go for it. You send your IDF over. They're just bad dudes, man. Everybody talks about how badass the Mossad is. You send those guys in there. You kick the shit out of those Iranians. And by the way, I just want you to know, I'll be saying prayers for you. I know you think my guy is a false prophet, turd, lion, sack of shit, black magic guy, but I still love him. So I'm going to pray to him. And then hopefully you'll kick the shit out of all 93 million Iranians. Because that's the plan, right? I mean, we're not going in to Iran first, right? We're not going into Iran first, right? They're like, the IDF is going in first, and we're just backing them up, right? Right? Because it'd be stupid if we went in first, since we didn't even start this war. But I guess when you got a big, huge mouth and a teeny weeny, teeny little ass, you shoot your mouth off and then you call your your big brother, the United States, to come whoop everybody's ass for you. We were 7 hours late on October 7th. Funny thing about that, when are the Kurds going to get involved? That's a great question. Because once the Kurds get involved, that means Turks get involved because Kurdistan cannot exist. Now, I know you're thinking, well, it did exist. Not anymore, and it won't again because Kurdistan is part of Turkey, part of Iraq, and part of Iran. And I believe, no, I think the Turks stole all of Armenia. Oh, not all of it, 90% of it. Yeah, Armenia used to be a very big country. I saw that on the map and I was, whoa, what happened? You put that thing in the dryer after you washed it and it shrunk up? No, the Turks came in and massacred them. It was a genocide. If you say that in Turkey, you go to jail or you get killed in the street, one or the other. Who is pulling the puppet strings? Well, that's a funny thing. Netanyahu needs to stay out of jail. He needs to stay out of jail. And there is so much evidence of his corruption. I mean, so much evidence that the moment the war is over, he's going to jail. I mean, they're going to jerk him into court and boom, away he goes. So he is desperately trying to keep the war going. Now, does that mean he's pulling the strings? No, actually, because he doesn't give a shit what happens as long as there's a war. The people who are actually pulling his strings are a tiny group of Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox Jews. Now, I don't want to disparage anybody's religious views because that would be bullying and harassment. And I've only been kicked off of this platform almost every time I've gone on it because of that. So I'm going to say that there's this religion, not Judaism, by the way. I'm making this religion up. It's a new religion. Okay. It's a pizza god. And the pizza god believes that in order to bring about the end times and save the pizza people, you have to start a war with everybody who's not a pizza person. The whole world has to be at war with each other and then with you. And then you have to build a temple. Now, your temple's been torn down a couple times now, but that's okay. You're going to build this another temple. And then once you build this other temple, then the pizza god's going to come back and everything's going to be great. Whatever that means. So I don't know exactly what everything's going to be great means, but there are people who actually believe that it's going to be so good that they have to spend their entire lives, thousands and thousands of them have to spend their entire lives solely focused on this one prophecy. And they have to beg, borrow, steal, manipulate, whatever it takes in order to get money and power to make this thing happen for their pizza god. Now, you can imagine if 100,000 people all agreed to, number one, become educated, number two, to support each other and only each other, and to never spend a single penny outside of their pizza religion. And then they also believe, by the way, because they're pizza people and you're not, let's say that the rest of us are spaghetti people, that spaghetti people aren't people. Pizza people are actually people. But pizza people are different than pasta people. So lying, cheating, stealing, and even killing pasta people is totally okay if you're a pizza person, because the pizza god said so. He said that only pizza people are actually people. Everybody else, forget it. Now you're starting to see what we're up against. This is insanity. Whoa. If I didn't know better, I'd swear that was Russian. To build the temple. Yes, because they have to build the temple to the pizza god. And if you don't build that third temple to the pizza god, then and burn some, you got to burn a steak. You got to burn a steak, sacrificing your steak to the pizza god because pizza gods don't like steak. So there's all these things that have to happen. Now, in a normal world, you'd say, yes, you may be a chicken nugget. In a normal world, you'd say, well, wait a minute. Anybody who's intelligent enough to become a billionaire, anybody who's strong enough mentally to only deal with their own kind and to isolate themselves from all of the people around them, even in a major city like, I don't know, New York, to the extent that they absolutely won't even talk to anybody else, that willpower and that intelligence, that alone has to rule out the fact that they would actually believe in something as stupid, as irrational, as insane as a pizza god. You'd think that, wouldn't you? You'd say to yourself, I imagine, okay, if there's a God, and let's just say for the sake of argument that there is, what is God? Wait, no, that's the wrong question. Because if there's a God, then the question is, what isn't God? Right? Because God is by definition everything. Everything. So Donald Trump is part of God. I'm part of God. The salt, part of God. Nothing can exist outside of God because God is either all or nothing. Otherwise, it's not God. It's God with a little g, like a ruler. But if you're talking about the power that created the universe, the thing that rules the universe, and when I say rules, literally created and makes the universe exist, then that thing nothing can exist outside of that. So I'll give you an example. I say, well, the salt was made by the devil. Really? Morton salt's made by the devil. I didn't think that. I thought it was from Utah's I didn't know that. Utah's Great Salt Lake. Does this say Mormon or Morton? I thought it said Mormon. I mean Morton. Huh. Great Salt Lake. I actually put that on my food. Does that make me a Mormon? Because if it does, I'm light about 4 wives. And I want them. It is sea salt. That's what it says. So if God's everything, if God is infinite, God is everything, then nothing exists in the universe outside of God. Then Satan is part of God. And therefore, God created Satan because God wants Satan to exist. Right? How could if God is everything, God is all powerful, then God obviously created Satan. And if he created Satan, then he must have wanted Satan to exist. God doesn't fuck up, right? I mean, can we agree that God doesn't like, oops, oops, sorry. I know. There's a lot of you that are like, no, have you met my weird uncle? my point. My point is that God doesn't screw things up. Everything's done for a reason. You may not understand it. A lot of people are like, well, God's thoughts are not our thoughts. Bullshit. We're part of God. Lucifer tried to overthrow God. Okay, Gary. Now I want you to think like a big boy. Put your big boy pants on. God created Lucifer. God knows everything. You don't think that God knew when he created Lucifer everything Lucifer would ever do? Because you can't think thoughts outside of God. God knows what you're thinking because that's who put him there. Now we've got a real problem because that means God wants Satan to exist. No, God's just not powerful enough. Well, here's the thing. Let's just say that God does exist for fun. Let's play that game. All right, there's a God out there. Now, God, let's just say God is really that big, like really big, like big brain, smarter than me even. I know, right? Whoa. That means that God understands that nothing can exist without its opposite. You wouldn't know what light is if you'd never seen darkness. You wouldn't know what hot is unless you'd felt cold. Hot would be just what there is. So, how do you know what good is? Well, maybe God made people first, and then he said, okay, hey, you guys are in my image, love you. Everything's good. It's all good. And people are like, ugh, this is fucking boring shit, man. I'm getting tired of this. What is this anyway? Every day is the same shit over and over. Oh. So you don't like having everything you ever wanted? Well, I don't know. Is this everything I ever wanted? I don't know. Oh, right. Okay. So you've never suffered. So you don't know what it feels like to not suffer. You don't know what it feels like to not feel good. You don't know anything. All right. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw in a little spice. Spice it up a bit for you. Okay. There's going to be some tears that happen here. And then when people actually suffer, they go, man, this really sucks. I want this to stop. There you go. Now you know what it feels like to feel good. My dad actually told me once, he said, when I got out of boot camp, he said, there's going to be times where you're in a lot of pain, brother. And I said, yeah, I figured. And he goes, it's going to get to a point where you're going to confuse not being in pain with actual pleasure. He said, don't make that mistake. I made that mistake. Just not being in pain, it's not actually pleasure. It's just not being in pain. Don't settle for that. Go do what makes you feel good. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And it's true. People who have been sick for a long time, they'll tell you the first day that they don't feel sick. It's like, wow, my body doesn't hurt. I don't have a headache. I don't have this or that. I don't feel nauseous. Man, this is great. Well, yeah, but it's just normal. No, not to them. It's not. To them, it's amazing. Really? Yeah, because it's all about perception. That old joke, snail sitting on the back of a turtle going, woo! Yeah, because, hey, man, he's hauling ass. He can't believe how fast this ride is. And so the same thing is true with us. But that doesn't mean you give up the fight. Like, do I ever expect things to be perfect? No. Do I expect a better union than I have now? Yes. Yeah. Because this is evolution. This is evolution. Do I want to feel tragedy? No. But if I've got to feel tragedy, if I have to feel tragedy, the space shuttle blowing up on takeoff, that's the kind of tragedy that I prefer. The space shuttle breaking up on reentry, that that hurts. You hate to see that. But that's better than just watching a group of children being shot by IDF snipers because that's too much. There's no reason for that. That's just misery for the sake of misery. Where's the where's the improvement? Where's the noble sacrifice in that? You know? You see somebody trying to accomplish something and they lose their life, you're like, fuck. But you know what? They went out with their fucking boots on. This, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna invade Iran. Why? Well, because they might threaten us. Oh, really? You want me to believe that? Yeah. Okay, well, what about Cuba? Oh, well, we're just fucking with Cuba. We're just making people in Cuba miserable. We're watching them die and we're watching them, just we're watching them just feel fucking misery. Why? Why are we making an entire country miserable? Because we want to. Massacre at a music festival. I think that, Patriot, you need to talk to Benjamin Netanyahu about that. Because if you think that that was an accident, if you still believe that, if you believe that the IDF took 7 hours, I actually looked on a map. I can walk from the West Bank to where that took place in less than 7 hours. I can walk there. Where was the IDF? Charlie Kirk talked about this. He said that every 30 feet there's a kid with a rifle. Not that day. That day they were told to stand down. They were given a stand down order. They were told to stand down that day. Look, it's too obvious. It's too obvious. Okay, it's too obvious. You have to be in the IDF. We all know that. How did you know that? Everybody knows that now. I mean, everyone knows that now. Charlie Kirk talked about it. They talked about it when it happened. There are people that have come forward who are former IDF soldiers who live there who were like, yeah, I watched them training. I watched them doing something that it made me very nervous because they were clearly training for something. So I called my former commander and he said, leave it alone. Leave it alone. The IDF knows what's going on. We'll take care of it. Okay. The people who were at that party, that exact rave, that exact music festival, that exact festival was shot down. The local commander said, no way. You are not going to have a music festival up against the wire next to, no. He said, absolutely not. Somebody higher up the chain of command called him and said, yeah, they are. Okay, so why? Why would you do that? Who did that? Who calls up and says, hey, by the way, you know that music festival you shot down because it's right up against the wire in Gaza? All those rumors we've been hearing about them getting ready for something big. Oh, and how about this? How about when CNN and Fox and everybody else reported that Egypt had warned Netanyahu up to a year before? Now, how about this? How about the fact that I actually have seen with my own eyes today, I saw that Benjamin Netanyahu was in writing, because the Qataris aren't stupid. The government of Qatar knew he was going to lie about it. So they made Benjamin Netanyahu sign a request to give $32 billion to Hamas. Explain that. Can you imagine if in all of the shit that was going on 9/11, we had found out that all of those people from Saudi Arabia, all 15 of the 19 hijackers, oh, he signed it. They wouldn't give the money to Hamas without him signing something because, and this is what they said, this is what the Qatari government said. We knew he'd lie later. Oh, there's something that just came out called the BB Files, and it is insane. It's a bunch of Israeli interviews done by the police on pick somebody, Miriam Adelson. I mean, she's a multi-billionaire. She owns she owns the radio, the TV, the cable, the newspaper, and several of the big casinos in Las Vegas. Multi-billionaire, biggest donor to Trump. She gave him over $100 million of the $240 million he got from Israelis. She's a dual citizen. She's in the BB Files. They pulled her in and they interviewed her. Woo! They interviewed her husband before he died. And he said, if this gets out, they'll kill me. Yeah. Oh, the rats are leaving the barge now, baby. Yeah, those files, I guarantee you will lead back to the Epstein files. People are like, do you really think that Epstein was Mossad? Really? Epstein? No. I'm sure he was probably working for the government of Latvia. I mean, come on. Robert Maxwell? The guy is literally buried in like the Avenue of Patriots. It's like, come on. This is so fucking obvious. This is so obvious. There are guys coming out of the Pentagon. They're like, hey, man, the Pentagon was bought and paid for by like 2000 at the latest. It was completely saturated with Israeli agents. It's like, wait, our Pentagon? Yeah. Well, gee whiz, that sure would explain a lot. Libya, Syria, let's see, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran. I mean, whose enemies are those? Come on, guys. Whose enemies are those? Let's pull our heads out of our little asses here and think for a second. Those 5 countries. Point to the one that's next to us. Point to the one that's not Muslim. I mean, come on. Point to the one that Bibi didn't point out 25 years ago and say, these countries need to be taken out. Yemen. That's the only one that we haven't taken out yet, right? Those are literally all the countries that he pointed out to Congress. This was right after 9/11. Well, where do you think we should go next, Mr. Netanyahu? Well, we should go here, 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 and here. Oh, okay. Well, these 5 are now off the list. We just got one more, Yemen. Well, okay, but do we really need to go after Yemeni people? No, because they're so poor now after years of fighting with Saudi Arabia that they have nothing left except maybe a few missiles, which they will fire at the Israelis. Oh, my God. Look, you can blame anybody you want. Oh, it's Obama's fault. Oh, it's Biden's fault. Oh, it's Bush's fault. Oh, it's Trump's fault. Did you catch that, though? Just catch what I just did there? Because those were Democrats and Republicans. And everybody likes to pick their tribe and go, my tribe's right and your tribe's wrong. Really? Is that how you want to break it down? You don't want to break it down any other way, like maybe the United States is our tribe? Their tribe's wrong? No. You see, we have 2 tribes here. Oh, okay, yeah. We should, you know what? We should divide up into two tribes here and fight each other. And then we'll never question these other people that are outside of our country. Oh, no, they're our friends. Oh, but we're not each other's friends. No, no, we're mortal enemies. Wow. Who fucking brainwashed us into thinking like that? I can tell you this Lincoln said, a house divided shall not stand. That's it. A house divided shall not stand. So, how do you divide the country? Well, that's easy. First of all, go to war against white men. Make sure that everybody knows that white men are the root of all evil. That everything that's ever gone wrong in the United States is because of white men. That's a good start. Then let black people know that they are never going to be good enough, that there's absolutely nothing they can do because they're fundamentally flawed. And so, because of that, they need this group of people called Democrats to support them and to take care of them and to wipe their little butts for them. Because, come on, you guys know the truth about yourselves. You can't do this alone. That's why when the first time I met a black Republican, I was like, huh? I know, sounds stupid. Well, I didn't understand at the time. And I said, well, wait a minute, why are you Republican? And he said, because I'm a businessman. And I said, well, wait a minute. Okay, but that doesn't, I'm not sure I understand. He goes, look, man, anybody who tells me I need them to help me is trying to hold me down. They're not trying to help me up. I was like, oh, okay. He goes, look, I don't want to pay higher taxes. I don't want to go back in and help inner cities. I was like, why not? And he goes, because I'm from the inner city and nobody helped me. I didn't need it. I was like, oh. He said the cream rises to the top, period. I was like, okay, fair enough. So when somebody says, hey, no, look, these colored folks, they really need some help. Like, come on, let's be honest. You think they're going to do it alone? Yeah. Yeah, I do, actually. I think they're going to do it alone. I don't know if people realize this, but there's black people in the Marine Corps. Oh, what does that mean? Not a goddamn thing. It doesn't mean anything. That's the point. It doesn't mean anything. Got some Mexicans too. Really? What does that mean? Nothing. We're all Marines. Oh, well, are there special programs for black Marines? No. We all go through boot camp together. Oh, okay. GI Bill. Good point. But do we have a special GI Bill for colored folks? Because, they're, not like us. No. Look, Marines are Marines. You make it through boot camp, you make it through boot camp. Period. You're all the same. You're green. Some guys are darker, some guys are lighter, but we're all green. That's what we're taught. Oh, well, okay, now that seems fair. Yeah, everybody gets the same chance. Well, now, wait a minute. You got to hold some people back to let other people advance. What? Yes. You have to not hire people who are qualified so that you can hire people who are not quite as qualified. How the fuck is that supposed to work? Well, it doesn't really work, but it makes the people who are unqualified feel better. Okay. Well, now, what could possibly go wrong with that over the course of 50 years? Holy smoke. Holy smoke. That is Democrats in a nutshell. Not sounds like Democrats. Affirmative action was an absolutely horrifically bad idea. Now, if they had done, instead of affirmative action, if they had just come down like a fucking ton of bricks on anybody who didn't hire somebody who was completely qualified just because of their color? Oh, no, 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 no. Mm-mm. Not in this country, motherfucker. No, no, no. If a guy walks in and he's a mechanic and he's got his own set of tools and he can tell you everything about that car right there, right now, just ask him. That one over there, absolutely. I'll tell you all about it. Hell, I'll go fix it for you in 5 minutes. You don't hire him because of the color of his skin? You are a sick son of a bitch. And yeah, you should get punished for that. That's that kind of racism. We can't have it. We just can't have it. Guy walks in and he says, listen, I just want you to know I'm a decent mechanic, but because of my religion, you're going to have to stop eating that for lunch. And by the way, I'd like you to hire me. Sorry, my shop, my lunch. Yes, but what you're eating offends me. Well, then you probably shouldn't work here. Oh no, I'm sorry, you have to hire me. Why? Well, because you don't want to look bad, do you? See, that's the problem. I don't care. If somebody says, oh, well, you're racist. No, I am not racist, but I'm very good at pattern recognition. That's one of the best things about ADHD, which is a superpower. Anybody who thinks that it's not a superpower is trying to get you to cry for them or give them something for free or allow them to fuck up more than they need to because I have this problem. It's not a problem. ADHD is a superpower, literally. If I had $1 for every time I've walked into a movie and 5 minutes into the movie, I could tell you the entire outcome of the movie. Happens every time. If I could tell you every time I've seen somebody and everybody has absolutely loved this person and said, this person is so cool, aren't they? And I go, And then a year later, somebody goes, yeah, did you hear about that person? Ooh, yeah, they were nasty. Nobody saw that. Yeah, I did instantly. ADD is an adaptation for a very specific type of person. It is not an adaptation for this society right now. If I literally raised my son in the woods specifically to be a hunter, this adaptation would be absolutely insane. Because not only does he focus on things extremely intensely for a short amount of time and then move on to the next thing, like you would if you were in the forest. Kind of weird, but like a cat. When you look at like a bobcat, they're doing their thing and they stop and they look at something. And then they move on. And it's like, what the fuck are they doing? Well, what they're doing is they're focusing very intensely to see it. Is that food or is it a threat? It's neither. Okay, moving on. And their head's constantly on a swivel because they're hunting, but they could be hunted. There's cougars out there and a bobcat looks pretty tasty to a cougar. So do they keep their head on a swivel? All the time. Do I do that? All the time. Is that fucking fantastic in combat? Absolutely the best thing you could ever hope for in combat. My head's on a swivel. I smell things. I hear things. I feel things that most people don't. Same thing with my son. How does that work in a classroom exactly? It doesn't. It sucks. God bless Israel. Who said that bullshit? God bless Israel. Oh, okay. And the Persians and the Lebanese. Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, God bless them all, but let's quit fighting. I'm tired of this. We got to go back to war. It's going to be 3 weeks, but it's going to be the best 3 weeks we've ever had. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that my Marines will all be able to wear their new tactic Crocs. Yeah, tactical Crocs. I'm telling you right now, these things are going to be big. They drain water really well. Lots of holes in them. I'm telling you, these things are going to be big. Tactic Crocs. Okay, maybe not. But I bought them just because they were so stupid looking. I thought to myself, who would wear OD green Crocs? I mean, I wouldn't wear Crocs if you pointed a 45 at my face. Period. Never worn them. Those have never been on my feet. Those will never go on my feet. Just a couple weeks more. Just look, when it comes to invading countries, it's just the tip. It's just the tip. Tactic Crocs. That's what I call those. They are absolutely perfect for a gender fluid Marine Corps, which thank God we don't have right now. That's good to know. So, the reason that we're buying silver, by the way, is not because it's going to go to 150 tomorrow, although you never know. It's always good to have for an emergency. But the reason that we're buying silver is because they snuck in a central bank digital currency into the housing bill of all things. I know, housing bill, right? It's like, how does this help us? How is this part of housing? It's not. Okay, so why do we have this? Because the commercial banks didn't want a central bank digital currency that was what they called um, retail. They didn't want us to go directly to the central bank. They wanted a wholesale version where the digital currency goes from the central bank to them and then to us. That way they can keep their fractional reserve banking and take in $100 and loan out 10,000 based on the $100. Literally create money from thin air. And so now that that's gone through in this bill, which is apparently going to be passed, we will now have a central bank digital currency. Now, if you don't know about Palantir, if you don't know about the thought crimes, if you don't know about all this stuff, you better get on board quick, because the reality is there's going to be a huge secondary market. First of all, your dollars. These will be made illegal, which means that nobody will accept them. That's all. You won't be able to accept these after a certain date. Period. Once these are no longer accepted by businesses, once they are no longer legal tender for all debts, public and private, you will only have a CBDC. Now, what does that mean? What's a central bank digital currency? It means you'll have a card or your phone or some other form of ID on your wristwatch or whatever that you can use for payment. The government can put money into your account. By the way, if you think for one fucking second that they're not going to then just deduct taxes out of your account, and if you think they took the wrong amount, you'll have to fight them to get it back. If you don't think that's next, you're crazy. You are out of your fucking mind, because that's next. Automatic taxes. That's one of the huge reasons that they want a central bank digital currency. Now, once they've done that, then, and here's the kicker, we've got a $39 trillion deficit, right? How much money does the average American all together have saved up in their IRAs and 401ks and pension funds? $39 trillion. So what would happen if the United States government comes out with a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, at which point they can guarantee that everyone pays their taxes? Everyone pays their taxes. How can you not pay your taxes? They literally have a record of every single penny. There's no such thing as cash. There's nothing outside your bank account. It goes through your bank account or it does not exist. Period. Zero privacy. Their records, they look at your bank account, they see what you made, and they deduct taxes based on that amount. Done. It's automatic. Now, on top of that, they can look at all of the money that you've got stashed in your pension fund or your 401k or IRA, and they can say, you know what? We don't trust Wall Street. They do the best they can, but there's a lot of corruption. What we're going to do is we have a new part of our government that is designed. It's the best minds, the best and brightest minds in the investment field. These are the best. There's like people like BlackRock. They're going to take over all of this money. It will be part of the government. The government will actually watch out for your money for you so that now we can guarantee your money. Because let's face it, your IRA, your 401k, your pension fund, how many times in 2008 did people call up to only find out that their $250,000 was now $25,000? That can never happen to you now because they're going to nationalize retirement above and beyond Social Security. Everybody will have Social Security. That's just the basics, though. They're talking about if you've had a job where you've got a pension and your pension says you're going to get $4,800 a month for the rest of your life, you will. Guaranteed. Don't worry. Everything's fine. What happens when they nationalize all of that money? When they take on all of those assets, $39 trillion in assets becomes part of the country's assets. And this $39 trillion in debt, it's all gone. We're balanced, baby. It's balanced. It's all good. And all they had to do was take your pension. But they didn't take your pension. They didn't take your 401k. They didn't take your IRA, your 403b. Don't be whining like that. They didn't take it. It's still there. As a matter of fact, it's more there than ever because it's guaranteed by the federal government to never go away. Yeah. Aren't you glad? Now, here's the thing. Just so we're clear, and they just did this in Canada. They're ahead of us. I had some clients who called me and they said, hey, we got to cancel our order. And I said, what happened? And they said, well, we can't buy all that silver. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry. Is there like an emergency? And because I thought, well, maybe in the future. They said, no, we just found out from the government that even though we have $2.5 million in retirement funds, those $2.5 million in retirement funds, we're only allowed to have $5,000 a month. And I said, well, what do you mean you only get $5,000 a month? Your house is paid off. So I guess it's enough to live on. And they said, well, that is the point. Like they said that we don't need the 2.5. So they're putting us on an allowance. And I said, the federal government of Canada is putting you on an allowance? And they said, yeah, we get $5,000 a month. And that's it. Well, let me tell you something, folks. That's what a central bank digital currency is for. Now, run your mouth like I'm doing. Oh, all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot of zeros in your account. Because remember, yeah, glad you got silver. That's exactly right. That's exactly why I'm saying I don't care if it goes to 150. If it stays right where it's at forever, let's just say that gold and silver stay right where they're at. Well, that just means that we've put ourselves on a super tight fiscal monetary policy that actually makes sense. Okay, so the dollar's not going to get any weaker? Okay, I can live with that, man. Look, gold and silver are your emergency backup. That's like saying, hey, you know what? I got the fucking most kick-ass health insurance ever. Well, are you sick? No. Well, then why do you have health insurance? In case I get sick? Because I don't want to stay sick? Because I can afford it? That's why you buy silver. Because could it go to 300? Of course it could. Because people are using it for industry. Now, right now, the president is about to collapse the industry, and we're about to go into a depression worldwide, globally, if we don't stop this war. Period. Everybody's going down. We're all going down together. If that doesn't happen, if we declare victory and leave, and everything gets back to rocking and rolling, then at that point, silver will be in huge demand for the industrial use and for investments. But let's just say that the industrial use isn't there. You still have to have as much as you possibly can. Everybody in this country needs to have some, because it will literally be the only way out. If you want to do anything outside of the government's absolute supervision and approval, you'll have to do it with silver and gold. Now, what does that mean? Doesn't mean you're going to do anything illegal. But what if they say to you, hey, you know what? Your anti-government speeches are really starting to get on our nerves. And by the way, we know you were going to go to Washington, D.C. for that protest, which is why we froze your bank account. They wouldn't do that, would they? Would the United States government do that? Yeah, they sure would. Did the government of Canada do it to the truckers when they protested? You bet your ass they did. Froze their accounts like that. And everybody that was helping them, all of the GoFundMe's and all those people that were throwing money at the truckers and saying, yeah, you keep up the good fight, all that money got frozen. All that money got frozen. And by the way, if you donated to the GoFundMe for the truckers in Canada, you got on a list. Oh, yeah. You're one of those subversives. You're one of those, the ones that are unclean now. Yeah, they will not forget who you are. I don't know, man. This is starting to fucking smell really, really dystopian to me. So what do you do? Well, I mean, look, silver's been around for 10,000 years. It's been money for almost that amount of time. Now, I get it. There have been times where salt has gone for more per pound than gold. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But hey, if you want to stack up a few thousand pounds of salt, go ahead. I just think that gold and silver are easier. And so do I have salt, by the way? Yeah, about 100 pounds of it, because I don't know where to get it. I'll give you an example. If we hit Iran's civilian infrastructure, their civilian power, then we're cutting off their hospitals. We're literally cutting off their hospitals. If we hit their desalination plants so that they can't make fresh water, then we're literally killing civilians. We will be targeting civilian populations with our military, which is against the Geneva Convention. It is a war crime. We will be no better than what Israel did in Gaza. We will have literally sunk from the highest of ideals of any government or country on earth. At the founding of our country and the founding of our Constitution, we will have sunk all the way down to the absolute lowest level of tyranny and fucking indecency to kill civilians. Why? Well, they might have been a threat. Might? Oh, no, they were definitely a threat. But you said they weren't a threat several times. We made a mistake. So how do we know you're not making a mistake this time? No, the other time was a mistake. Well, you made that mistake 7 times. 7 times you said they weren't a threat. You obliterated everything. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. It's not a threat. And then one time you said it was a threat and we went to war. Don't you think you should at least have to say that it is a threat at least 10 more times before we go to war? Like, balance it out? I don't know, man. Getting nervous here. I'm getting nervous. We're about to lose the moral high ground as a country forever. We haven't been who we were supposed to be for 80 years. But we are about to literally we are about to literally go into an area of darkness that I never thought the United States of America could ever get to. Having fun wars since, I would say that it's time now that we need to really start to rethink like what we consider safe. And I'm telling you right now, this is safe. This is safe. So, I charge less than anybody else. I know because I'll go online with you while you're online. We'll go to my competitors and we'll look up, the AppMexes and the Money Metals and all those guys, and we'll see what their prices are. And I'll beat them. I always do. It's just my thing. I don't have the overhead they do. So my information's in my bio. Where's my, what the hell? Where did I? Wow. I'm an idiot. I had my sign, big and corn fed. Anyway, if you go to my bio, it's up there. So you guys have a great night. What's this? The U.S. government has done it before to the natives. Yeah, I don't care about that. That was 250 years ago. Do I still trust the USPS? Yes. Actually, yes. The USPS is very good. By the way, if you want their Bill WM. So listen, Bill, if you wanna see something fun, go look up the videos where they actually read the transcripts of what the natives did to each other. Because when they went to war, they would capture a warrior, and when they captured him, not only would they torture him for as long as possible, usually 2 or 3 days. When I say torture, I mean cutting pieces off and lighting them on fire and eating them. But then eventually they would, when he finally gave in to all the wounds, and they would taunt him the entire time. Then they would eat him. So, yeah, when it comes to feeling bad about what happened between the settlers and the Indians, I don't feel bad at all. If I went next door and caught my neighbor eating his neighbor, I wouldn't be friends with him. As a matter of fact, we'd have an issue, a real issue. So, don't you don't want to stick up for cannibals. Never a good idea. All right, guys. Well, have a great night and buy silver from me. Call me tomorrow. I will be around. You guys have a great night. How many people on here? Well, 3 of you. All right. Good enough. That's a good enough amount.